Disclaimer: this video is based entirely on ancient Japanese folklore and legend. Events depicted are not presented as factual. If you are new here, you just found the darkest corner of the internet. Every week on this channel, we go inside the stories that were never meant to be told. The crimes with no answers. The legends with no endings. The darkness that lives between what is real and what should not be. If that is your kind of darkness, subscribe before this video ends. Because what I am about to tell you has kept people off empty streets at night for over 1,000 years. Let's get into it. Before we begin, I need you to understand something. Most legends stay legends. They live in books, in whispered stories around fires, in the imaginations of children who should be asleep. This one did not stay a legend. In 1979, in the Nagasaki prefecture of Japan, something happened that no one has ever fully explained. Schools closed. Parents kept children indoors. Police patrolled the streets in pairs. And at the center of it all, a woman, wearing a mask, carrying scissors, asking a question that had no safe answer. What you are about to hear is one of the oldest and most terrifying legends in all of Asian folklore. And unlike most legends, this one has a body count. Stay with me, because once you know her story, you will never look at a masked face the same way again. Let's begin. The story of Kuchisake-onna, the Slit Mouth Woman, stretches back over 1,000 years in Japanese folklore. The original legend tells of a woman who was the wife of a samurai, beautiful beyond description, vain beyond reason. She was said to have been unfaithful to her husband, and when he discovered her betrayal, his punishment was as brutal as it was permanent. He took his sword, and he cut her mouth from ear to ear. As she lay bleeding, he said to her, "Who will think you are beautiful now?" She died, but she did not stay dead. According to the legend, she returned, as a living, asking every person she encountered the same question her husband asked her in her final moments. The legend describes her encounters always the same way. She appears on empty streets, always at night, always in fog or rain, always wearing a surgical mask, which in Japan is common enough that nobody looks twice. She approaches her victim slowly, calmly, and she asks, "Am I beautiful?" If you say no, she kills you immediately. Scissors through the throat. If you say yes, she removes the mask, revealing the wound that was carved into her face over 1,000 years ago. Her mouth split from ear to ear, stretched into a permanent, grotesque smile. And she asks again, "Am I beautiful now?" If you say no, she cuts you in half with her scissors. If you say yes, she slits your mouth to match hers. There is no safe answer. There is no correct answer. There's only her question and what comes after it. And then 1979 happened. In the Nagasaki prefecture of Japan, reports began flooding into local police stations. Children were coming home terrified. They described a woman on the streets wearing a surgical mask who had chased them. Teachers reported children arriving at school in groups, refusing to walk alone. Parents began escorting their children everywhere. Local newspapers picked up the story. The national newspapers. Then, the panic spread beyond Nagasaki. Reports of Kuchisake-onna sightings began appearing across Japan. Osaka, Tokyo, Hokkaido. The entire country gripped by the legend of a woman who may have been walking among them. Schools in multiple prefectures temporarily closed. Police increased patrols specifically to address public fear. Whatever people saw in 1979, it was real enough to shut down parts of Japan. Historians and folklorists have spent decades trying to explain the 1979 panic. Some believe a real woman, mentally disturbed, physically disfigured, may have been wandering the streets of Nagasaki, and the legend attached itself to her. Others point to a documented medical case from the 1970s, a woman in Japan who suffered a severe facial injury and was reportedly seen in public before receiving treatment. Some researchers believe the panic was a case of mass hysteria. The legend was so deeply embedded in Japanese culture that any masked woman seen behaving strangely triggered collective terror. And then there are those who point to a detail that no one has explained. In 1979, at the peak of the panic, a woman matching the description was reportedly struck by a car while chasing a child. She got up and ran away and was never identified. What happened next is almost as terrifying as the legend itself. Kuchisake-onna did not stay in Japan. The legend spread. By the 1990s, versions of her story were appearing in South Korea, where she was described wearing a red mask instead of white, carrying scissors, and asking children if she was pretty. In China, reports emerged of a similar figure. In the Philippines, a local variant merged with existing folklore. By the 2000s, the internet carried her story to every corner of the world. She appeared in Western horror communities. She inspired films, manga, anime, and video games. And still, every few years somewhere in Japan, a new sighting report surfaces. A masked woman, empty street, scissors, the same question, over 1,000 years old. And she is still being seen. According to the legend, there are ways to survive an encounter with Kuchisake-onna. The first, answer her first question by saying she is average looking, not beautiful, not ugly, average. This is said to confuse her long enough to run. The second, throw hard candies or fruit at her feet. The legend says she is compelled to stop and pick them up, giving you time to escape. The third, ask her a confusing question and return, something that requires her to think. This reportedly breaks her focus. Whether any of these work, no one who needed them has confirmed it, because the ones who found out did not come back to report their findings. Over 1,000 years, countless sightings, a national panic, a woman struck by a car who got up and disappeared, and still no answer, no confirmed identity, no confirmed origin, no confirmed explanation for what happened in Japan in 1979. Kuchisake-onna remains exactly what she has always been, a question with no safe answer, a wound that never healed, a face behind a mask that nobody who has seen it has ever been able to forget. She is out there right now, on some empty street, in some city, in some country, waiting for someone to walk past alone. And when they do, she will ask them the same question she has asked for over 1,000 years. Am I beautiful? And whatever they answer, it will not save them. Kuchisake-onna has been asked, are you beautiful? For over 1,000 years. Nobody who answered wrong lived to tell the story. Nobody who answered right escaped unmarked. And the woman behind the mask, whatever she is, wherever she came from, is still out there, still asking. If this story kept you here until the very end, then you already know you belong in this community. The ones who walk toward the darkness instead of away from it. The ones who need to know even when knowing is dangerous. Subscribe right now, because next week we go back into real darkness, a real killer, a real case, a real story that has never been solved. The people who wait miss everything. Subscribe now.